solving for a variable. Now, the first thing we're going to learn is what a formula is, because a lot of the stuff you're going to learn in Algebra 1 later involves formulas. A formula I like to call is simply a pattern to follow, otherwise known as an equation that states a rule for a relationship among quantities. Or you can just say a pattern to follow, whichever makes you feel better. Let me give you a very basic example of a formula. Now, I have in the past made cookies for my kids many times, chocolate chip cookies. They seem to enjoy them, as I do too. But I'm going to give you a very basic version of it. Imagine, if you will, that you whip all the ingredients together to make cookie dough, and then you add chocolate or chocolate chips. Combined, you'll make chocolate chip cookies. So my very basic formula would be make all the cookie dough stuff and then plop in the chocolate chips, and you'll have what you need to make chocolate chip cookies. In this simple formula, I am saying that chocolate chip cookies are the addition of cookie dough and chocolate. Think of water. To make water, you have to have one big oxygen molecule and two little hydrogen molecules that are all fused together. Oxygen element and two hydrogen elements that together form one water molecule. So a formula can be of anything. In this chapter, the formulas will be given to you. Take a look at this. Distance. Distance equals rate times time. And if you want to follow along, it's on page 107. So distance equals rate times time, but instead of writing this out, the word distance, we'll just put D. Instead of writing R, instead of writing rate, we'll use R. Instead of writing T, instead of writing time, we'll use T. What will happen is that you'll be given 2 out of the 3 variables, and you'll have to figure the third out. So this is what algebra really comes down to. Is instead of before where you get all 3 numbers and are asked to solve, you're going to be missing one, and by virtue of the one that's missing, you'll be able to use the ones you have to figure out the missing one. The example here is in the word problem. So suppose you drive 50 miles per hour for 6 hours. What was the given distance? Well, let's take the formula distance equals rate times time. So, 50 miles per hour, and 6 hours is the time, so 50 times 6. Therefore, I can say, well, I went 50 miles an hour for 6 hours, so 50 times 6 is 300. Granted, this is a very basic formula, but it builds upon each other. Now you try. Distance equals rate times time. You walk for 40 minutes and travel at a speed of 45 feet per minute. How far did you go? Go ahead and give it a try. Let's see how you did. I get 1800 because you simply take 40 times 45. Page 107 says, in 2004, Ernst van Dyke won the wheelchair race of the Boston Marathon with a time of about 1.3 hours. The race was about 26.2 miles. What was his average speed? Use the formula D equals RT and round your answer to the nearest tenth. Well, again, D equals RT, but this time they gave us the distance. And they gave us the time, but they did not give us the rate. Therefore, we have to find the rate. So instead of D equals RT, I need to get R by itself. To do this, to get R by itself, instead of times T, I'm going to divide T. Divide T on one side, divide T on the other, as you'll see here. D over T equals R, or simply R equals D over T. Now let's plug it in. So now we have 1.3 hours as our time, and our distance was 26.3, which goes on top, and the 1.3 goes on bottom. So top divided by bottom. Go ahead and work that out, and you get about 20.1538, blah, 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 which means, in a wheelchair no less, he was going approximately 20 miles per hour, which is faster than a lot of people run for a long distance, and especially for an hour. Most people can run full speed for 100 meters, give or take. This guy was doing 20 miles an hour for over an hour. It's food for thought. Now, a formula can be more complex, but you do the same thing. To convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, Celsius equals Fahrenheit minus 32, and then times 5/9. Notice how there's parentheses, meaning that minus 32 must come first. So if it's 80 degrees here, we want to know what the temperature is in Celsius. Well, take 80 minus 32. So 80 minus 32 makes 48, and then take 48 times 5, divide by 9, and you get 26.67. Now, where am I ever going to use this in real life? Well, believe it or not, the rest of the world uses Celsius and not Fahrenheit. I think we're the last holdout for Fahrenheit. So, and since we're not going to change, the world's going to change to us, we're going to use Fahrenheit, they use Celsius. But if you travel anywhere else in the world, knowing Celsius is a good idea. You need to know if 35 Celsius is cold or hot. So that's how you'd figure that out. And based on this, 35 degrees Celsius would be very hot. There is an easy way to multiply fractions, almost as easy as using the fraction button in the calc. Watch this. So in other words, if you took 48 and then we just said times 5 divided by 9, that's the way to go. You could also just take 48 times 5 ABC9 in your calculator. Either one works, what I'm trying to illustrate. So you try it this time. Let's say we want to find for Celsius. We want to find out how much is 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So go ahead, plug 100 in, see what you get. Go ahead. Let's see how you did there. You plug 100 in, and you get 37.78 Celsius. So if it says 40 degrees Celsius, you're going to be scorched. Where obviously 40 degrees Fahrenheit, you're freezing. One more time, plug in 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's find the Celsius. Go ahead. Let's see how you do it. Plug 20 in here. 20 minus 32 makes negative 12. Negative 12 times 5 is negative 60. Divide by 9, I want to say is negative 6.666666, so we'll just say negative 6.7. Now you're like, wait a minute, how can that be negative? Well, you have to understand that in a Fahrenheit scale, freezing point's at 32. But in the Celsius scale, freezing is 0. So since this is 20 degrees Fahrenheit, it's way down here, it's going to be negative Celsius, and that's why. Now we're going to change the formula to find for Fahrenheit. So let's say you have Celsius, and you say, well, I want to find out, how do I find to turn Celsius into Fahrenheit? Well, we have to simply switch this around. Long story short, we want to go ahead and find for F. How do we do this? Well, it's going to be a lot of enrolling. Now I know I normally tell you to take plus or minus first, however this is buried inside a parenthesis. Therefore, it's the 5/9 that has to go. Now there's a couple ways to do this. You can go ahead and just say divide by 5/9, but then you're going to have C divided by 5/9, which gets a little choppy. A quick trick is to multiply a fraction by its inverse, or its reciprocal, excuse me, when you flip it upside down. So instead of 5/9 times by 9/5, by doing so, the reason why is 9 times 5 and 5 times 9 makes 45/45, which cancels each other out. So I'm going to times 9/5 here and times 9/5 here. So now, with these canceled, I have 9/5 C equals F minus 32. And now, instead of minus 32, I'll add 32. So in other words, 9/5 C plus 32 equals F, or simply Fahrenheit equals 9/5 Celsius plus 32. So now that we have the formula to find Fahrenheit to Celsius, so the temperature is 20 degrees Celsius, I want to know what degrees that are in Fahrenheit. Hint, just take this, put it in here, times 9 divided by 5 plus 32. See what you get. I'm taking 20 times 9 divided by 5. That makes 36 plus 32 is 68 degrees. So if you're in a foreign country and they say it's 20 degrees Celsius, don't worry. That means it's 68. So that's good news. You try. So now we have the formula to find Fahrenheit to Celsius. Go ahead and plug in 30 Celsius. Give it a try at this time. Go ahead. Let's see how you do. 30 degrees Celsius would be 84 degrees. So nice and toasty. 68, yeah, and 30 degrees is 84. There you have it. Now, there will be many times in this book where your final answer will not be a number, but a different formula. Such as, on page 108, example 3, if you want to follow, it says m minus n equals 5, and you want to find for m. Okay, well to find for m, we just have to get rid of what's next to it. In other words, the minus n has to go. So instead of minus n, we have to add n. But add n on one side, you have to add n on the other. So plus n here, m equals n plus 5. And there you have it. You try. A plus 9 equals b, find for a. Hint, get rid of the plus 9. Go ahead, let's see how you did. Hopefully you minus 9 to both sides. And a equals b minus 9. Now I can't actually take 9 from b, so I'm going to put b minus 9. So if you tell me what b is, I'll say, well, subtract 9 and you found a. You try. 4a minus 12 equals x. Find 4a. Step 1, get rid of, well, go ahead and give it a try. Okay. Go ahead, and if you haven't done so, add 12 to both sides. So now I get 4a equals x plus 12. Divide both sides by 4. And a equals, now I don't care if you have x over 4 or 1/4 x or whatever makes you happy. And then 12 divided by 4 is 3. I do want you to break it down somehow, either x over 4 plus 3 or 1/4 x plus 3. I don't want you to keep it as x plus 12 over 4 because 12 and 4 can be broken somehow. So I really want to see that. And later when it comes to graphing, that becomes important. You try again. Go ahead and find for g. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and minus 52 to both sides. So I get t, because you have minus 52 over here. T minus 52 equals 3/5 g, and it gets a little choppy. I'm going to take a shortcut, what I call a shortcut, and times everything by 5. I do this, and I get 5t minus, well, let's see, 52 times 5, I think it's 260, hopefully. Cancels here, I get 3g, and that's supposed to be a g, not a 6. And I'm going to divide them all by 3, so I'm going to get 5/3 t minus 260 divided by 3. Brain, don't fail me now. Let's see, that's 80, which leaves 240, 20 left. 86.67, we'll say, equals g. I hope that's right. I could, of course, plug that back in and back and forth, but I'm just going to take my word for it. If you get something different, tell me tomorrow in class, and I'll be happy to hear. Now you can use symbols instead of letters. So now you might say, what is this? Well, it don't matter if it's A, B, C, D, or smiley face and star. If you have smiley face plus 5 equals star, and want to find just for smiley face, instead of plus 5, we're going to minus 5. Minus 5 to one side, minus 5 to the other. So simply put, smiley face equals star minus 5. That's all. You try, go ahead. Find for, you want to say, dinosaur? Annoyed dinosaur. So find for annoyed dinosaur. Go ahead. Well, instead of minus 5, we're going to add 5 over here, add 5 over here. So now it's 2 annoyed dinosaur equals 20. And now instead of times 2, we're going to divide by 2. Divide 2 to one side, divide 2 to the other. And I have annoyed dinosaur equals 10. And we are done. Thanks again. We'll talk to you later. Bye.